you know, he had trouble, you know, reacting to that other than to let go of my sign. But, you know, I realized this isn't so cool because I'm on private property now. It's not quite the same thing as standing on a street corner. And I am a party crasher. So just to show I wasn't afraid, I walked around, I gave all the aisles a once over and went outside and stood on a street corner out in front. And after it was over, one older guy, a guy older than me, and there aren't that many of those guys left, comes up to me, grabs me by my lapels, stays right in my face and says, "I could break you in half if I want to." I just looked at him and I said, "Well, sir, you're welcome to try to break me in half if you want to, but it's a lot smarter to, you know, just to let go now and move on." Mm-hmm. So his wife came and ripped him away. And, you know, I thought, boy, it's getting violent out there. It's getting violent. I mean, I remember going to a few protest rallies down in West Point when Rumsfeld and Bush himself were giving commencement addresses, and I was part of a group that put on anti-war demonstrations. There was other group called the Gathering of Eagles. Are you familiar with that, the Gathering of Eagles?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you may want to orient our
audience. The Gathering of Eagles appeared to be, they looked like there were a lot of ex-military people, certainly the way they appeared to be. Very, very provocative, real agents provocative. Just, you know, would do, stand right across the street from our protest and scream at us about how, you know, we're destroying the country, you know, why don't you go home, economy, all the usual stuff. But with an alarming level of ferocity and a real threat of violence that really, I won't even say below the surface, right, you know, right there. I mean, just physical intimidation. And it's, like I said, those things, you know, those are private, those are individual citizens, you know, threatening me with violence, or organized groups of thugs, you know, exercising their clout in the only way these primitives know how. That's one thing. It's another thing when the cops start screwing up and crossing the line. That's bringing it to a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened here in Goshen. It happened to me once before. I went from Fishkill. I was holding a banner and a cop came up and said, "You need a permit." I said, "No, I don't." I went to the town hall, was immediately rectified. He was told at the town hall, "No, he doesn't need a permit." One guy in the cops said, "No." Mm-hmm. He never said sorry. They don't say sorry that easily, but mm-hmm. He said, "All right." But you know, whether it's a misunderstanding of the law, or that you know, on the part of the police who do things like the police here in Goshen did, whether they did it because they misunderstood the law, or whether they did it because they thought that I didn't understand the law and that I would be cowed by their threat of arrest or their instruction to leave, that, you know, that they assume that I didn't know what the Constitution says. Either way, it's dangerous. You know, people don't. Okay. One.
Maybe we should throw another log on the fire.
No, well,
you collect your thoughts, yeah?
Well, no, it's not a matter of collecting my thoughts. It's a matter, okay. But there's really so much that, you know, because I'm just. By the way, I don't. Feel free to interrupt any time. I'm just
doing great.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay. Okay. Here's the essence of it. It's scary when the cops either don't understand the law or assume that the public is so into the law that they can be cowed into complacency, to be compliant. That's the way I was trying to, you know, with these illegal orders. Because we don't know any better. That's one thing. But what scares me is how the public seems to know less and less about this stuff. Here's an example. When there's a mall going up in Newburgh. Mm-hmm. That was building itself, a marketplace mall, And during the run-up to this mall, and they needed the paperwork, the developers were selling the mall as the new town square, right? So I started a petition saying, okay, if you're going to be the new town square, well, the way I conceive of the town square, what's important to me, one of the important elements of a town square, is that that's where where free speech is just to be practiced. I mean, that's we now use the term public square like it's some kind of metaphor, but it really has its roots in being a real physical place. You know, that you go down to the village square and you got the guy on a soapbox, and you got this group, you know, the unions trying to organize, the politicians trying to get their spiel out. There was a vibrancy and an energy to the public square. It wasn't just a commercial place, it was a social and a political place. What's happened is, as malls replace the public square, and how the public square now is privately owned, that aspect is now gone. In fact, it can be verboten. Okay? So I had a petition saying that if we're going to have this square, I want to make sure that that First Amendment rights apply to the outdoor areas, you know, to what would be the equivalent of the streets and the sidewalks at the mall. Okay. I thought I was going to have such an easy time getting signatures for this petition. I thought, oh, this is going to be a snap. Everyone's going to sign. What person wouldn't want that? I found out that very few people, a very tiny percentage, would sign. They would say, well, what do you mean? I don't go to the mall to be bothered. I don't want people bothering me. I go there to buy stuff. And, oh my God, this is getting scary. They would say, well, they would say, that's private property. Private property. They saw private property rights as trumping their rights of free speech. They don't realize that their rights of free speech have been usurped. That's not important to them. So what scares me is the mindset. What scares me is the lack of knowledge, the lack of understanding on the part of just the general public about what free speech is, about what it is to be engaged by a guy who might be annoying, you know. But what's at stake in shutting this guy up or disallowing this guy? Don't you realize you're losing something real important? And the answer is no, they don't. Most of them don't. When this happened, you know, it didn't take me too long after the arrest to realize that, hey, I have an opportunity here. Maybe this arrest will generate a little bit of publicity. Generate a lot more than I thought it would, actually. And that's a good thing because, you know, for obvious reasons, you know, you don't want to be a tree falling in an empty forest. Right? Someone around to hear it, and nothing gets heard unless the press covers it. And I was grateful that they did. I'm grateful that you're doing what you're doing. I'm enormously grateful for this opportunity and any other opportunity I can get. So, you know, I think what really has to be changed is, you know, and beyond just whether or not a permit's required in Goshen, which is important. What really got to change is what people are being taught. You know, the whole cultural attitude, and that's a lot tougher. That no one guy in the street corner could do that. So basically, you know, that's what I'm all about, at least partially.
Well, I know a lot of people in the village are grateful that you came here and that you did this. And in fact, the former mayor of the village of Goshen, Robert Weinberger, is referred to you as a national hero. And from what I understand, your good fight is actually attracting national attention.
Well, I was kind of surprised. One blog, I think it was Democratic Underground, I believe, ran the story. They linked the Times Herald Record article, and I was surprised. I mean, it got comments from all over, and on Democratic Underground they would be supportive. I'd be curious to hear what the other guys are saying. I would love to, I wonder. Well, I guess I'll find out soon enough, but. If there's any backlash to this, because I haven't heard anybody say anything negative. Not one negative word yet.
I haven't personally heard anything negative. In fact, quite the opposite in regard to you. And like I say, the former mayor referred to you as a national hero, and I